I, 28F, met my fiancé, 28M, during college, and we have a great relationship. Last year we got engaged, and we're planning the wedding for this fall. While he has an awesome dad and really sweet sisters, his mother is kind of a sore spot for him. She is separated from his dad, and from what I've heard and witnessed, the family don't get along much with her. If you met her, you'd understand why. She's super judgmental and rude, and barely has a nice word to say about her own kids, let alone me. Unfortunately, my fiancé, being her only son and the youngest child, is her blatant favorite. She really wants him to be mommy's boy, but he's not that way at all and does a great job of handling her and keeping his distance, which honestly he prefers. Upon news of our engagement, she was super excited, very uncharacteristically. We then all realized that she basically wanted to frame the whole day around her, think everyone should be praising me for birthing this boy, he couldn't even get married without me. From there the craziness really ramped up. She was coming along with him to tux fittings, trying to plan out the music, even our first dance, and getting angry at me for daring to choose a dress she didn't like. The rest of his family and I were actually beginning to toy with the idea of uninviting her based on this behavior, and as wrong as it kind of innately feels, this is a pretty exceptional case, and honestly her actions were starting to make us dread our own wedding. A further incident a few days later where she told my son she wanted to walk me down the aisle so she could have a moment with her son at the altar made me, my husband and my future in-laws snap. We very recently arranged for her to come over to our home, where myself and my husband sat her down in the peace and quiet, and gently explained to her that we no longer wanted her to attend the wedding. She got really angry and immediately flew off the handle at me and not her son, as though I was the one who had influenced the rest of the family to uninvite her. My frustration at her boiled over, and without shouting I stood up and told her that I wanted her to stop yelling, and that she had no right to speak to me as she was. When I realized she was about to blow up again, I cut her off with, "In case you don't know, I'm the one marrying your son, not you." She didn't say anything else, just snatched up her bag and left. She hasn't spoken to me since, but she's trying to get my son to change his mind, believe me when I say he will not. She wants an apology from me, and while my husband, and the rest of the family, don't think I did wrong, I kind of wonder if my comment was unnecessary and whether it would have been better to stay the calm and collected party. I'm just so done with her, and I wanted to let her know exactly how I felt. Comment 1. NTA regardless, but I think the fact that all her children are on your side tells you everything you need to know. This isn't new behavior for her, she's done nothing to make her kids give her the benefit of the doubt, and they were all ready to cut her from the wedding before you even said anything. Listen to your fiancé and those who know future Mill well, you said nothing wrong and she brought this entire thing on herself. Also consider hiring security for your wedding. You don't want her trying to race you down the aisle in some deranged white dress day of. Comment 2. NTA. You delivered the dose of reality she needed. It probably won't get through to her, but that's her own problem. It was so nice reading a story where you, your fiancé, and the rest of his family were all in it together. You all sound awesome. You having to deal with that kind of behavior alone without support from your fiancé would be so isolating and overwhelming, and unfortunately that's usually how the evil Mill stories tend to go on here. Comment 3. If his mom is horrible, why are you involved with her? Don't take her dress shopping or even show her the dress, don't share your plans about the wedding. Have your BF deal with his mom, that's not your job. Why were you there to uninvite her? Have him do it. Think how much better it would have been if you weren't there. She couldn't yell at you. If she called you, don't pick up. If she texted you, tell her she had to speak to her son as it was his decision and then block her. Hopefully you aren't taking money from his parents to pay for the wedding. The rules should be, you deal with your side of the family and he deals with his side of the family. ESH. IF23, recently bought a house. My partner and I spent 2.5 months remodeling as much of it as we could before our lease was up and we had to move in. We were over there almost every day working on it. It was really draining and I feel completely burned out. My sister 20 and friends helped us on weekends. Fast forward to the move-in date, I was so mentally, physically and emotionally drained at this point. Move-in day went as smooth as moving does. We had friends to help us. My sister was going to help us, but she had been asked to sing for a funeral which understandably was important for her and was at the same time we planned to move, and so she planned to show up for the last part of it and stay to help us unpack. She did exactly that and showed up as we were clearing out the last 10 boxes from the owl. She went to change and realized she didn't bring socks for her tennis shoes. She asked me for some and I was a little annoyed because no, I can't find you socks right now. I have no idea where anything is and I've been moving heavy things for the past 4 hours. I'm also disabled. I broke my pelvis when I was 17 and have mobility issues and chronic pain, and this day was really hard. She refused to do anything unless she had socks, so my boyfriend found some of his and gave them to her. She did put them on and helped with the last few boxes. We all took a moment to eat lunch. My sister ate with us and our friends left. My sister still planned to stay and help me unpack. I had to return the owl first, and I had to be the driver since I was the verified driver. I asked my sister if she would come with me to return the owl and she stated that she needed a nap. She then proceeded to climb over all of the furniture we just moved in. She found a spot on the taken apart sectional and asked me to get her a blanket. I asked her again if she was sure she wasn't coming with me and she said no, she really needed a nap. She showed up for 20 minutes. It felt so inconsiderate. This is recurring behavior and I feel like this was the final straw. There's history that's hard to get into. She never seems to care for anyone but herself. I had to fill the owl up with gas before I returned it and got stuck trying to turn out of the gas pump area. It was a 20-foot owl and I accidentally hit the side of it into a pole. No one was there to help me maneuver it and I was doing the best I could. I was really upset that my sister didn't come with me because she could have helped me and this wouldn't have happened. I will have to pay for the damages. When I got back to my house, she was still sleeping for another hour even though I was playing music and unpacking dishes loudly. I asked her to leave when she woke up because I was so upset with her behavior. If she would have stayed, I would have blown up and said regrettable things. She was livid that I asked her to leave and has blocked me and told me she no longer wants a relationship with me. Comment 1. YTA. She's been nothing but helpful to you and you're not the main character in her life. From what I'm reading, you're the ungrateful one in the story. She did help. She helped multiple times. The one time she needed consideration from you, you were pissed about her prioritizing herself for once. When she still came to help, she just wasn't doing enough for you. Comment 2. YTA. So let me get this straight. Your sister helps you move out of the goodness of her heart. Not only was she helping you move, but had another thing she had to do. She needed a nap and you kick her out and call her selfish. You have got to be kidding me. I would cut contact with a user like you too. Comment 3. TA. Your sister showed up. Was she missing socks and weirdly annoying about it? Yes. But she did show up and she did help out. How is it that you can conclude she only cares for herself? She was asked to sing at a funeral and said yes. How can you conclude that she only cares for herself? You asked her to come with you to return a truck, but she was too sleepy to actually be of any assistance to you. So she did the responsible thing and told you she needed a nap and took it. Would it have been better if she came with you and fell asleep in the passenger side? Why do you blame your sister for the lack of all assistance but not your boyfriend? My stepdaughter Mia, she's 23 now, and has been dreaming of working in the fashion world since she's young. I was married to her father when she was 15. She took many courses to work on herself and I might say she's good at picking fabrics and colors, however, she isn't good at designing. She's a good stylist but not a good designer. I started my business like 16 years ago. It was very small and low budget, but I was lucky enough to expand it to where it is now. Still not the biggest company out there but big enough in my region. Part of my expansion plan was to hire other young designers, so my team and I are quite selective of who gets the job and who doesn't, because the design are products we sell, so it has to be good and passed by the judgment board. Which also means I'm not the sole judge who gets to choose, while I most definitely can. I prefer to hear what others have and decided with them. My husband asked me to have Mia as a designer in my company. From the very start I knew Mia wasn't a good designer, but I told my husband have her apply for the job and submit her papers for me and the team to look at them and examine her skills. I think he was kinda surprised I said apply for it instead of an immediate yes, but he still told Mia, who sent a thank you text for helping her. What exactly my husband told her so she would send a thank you text, but I replied saying that I'll be waiting for her along with the judges to examine her work constructively and wished her luck. I honestly DK till this day, did my husband lie to her, or did she send such text to guilt trip me? I have no clue. Anyways, her day came and no one saw her stuff on par with our criteria, so she was sent an email that she wasn't accepted. Let's just say hell got loose from here. My husband to me about how this is nonsense and unfair that I didn't accept her. I told him I'm not the sole decider. I have a system in place full of judges, but he wanted me to bend the system for Mia. If I did that, my credibility in front of my employees would sink and I'd lose them eventually. Plus, if Mia got in, her fellow designers won't respect her because she'd only get in for being my relative, not for her skills that are far behind her fellow designers. It is a huge risk for me ethically and financially to include Mia. My husband proceeded to tell me the list of courses and work Mia has done to achieve her dream. I told him I understand, but she still hasn't got the skills at least to meet my criteria. She could apply somewhere else and get accepted. Mia later sent me a long text of how I failed her and she doesn't want to see or hear of me anymore. Comment 1. NTA. Your husband is delusional. Yes, Mia took courses, she's put in work, but her designs aren't a good fit for your company. And how many people graduate from fashion institutes every year? How many of them get a job as a designer right out of the gate? Or ever? It's like designing Alfred Dunner type clothing, but trying to get a job designing for Ann Taylor. It's not going to happen. Her designs might fit somewhere else, but not everyone will be interested. OP comment. Exactly, I myself got rejected numerous times before and didn't last long for the jobs I got because every now and then companies would change their employees. I really only settled in one job and that was 4 years only, then I got to start a low-budget company. Truth is, that's how the industry works. You are replaceable. Comment 2. NTA. Your husband needs to understand that just because she is your stepdaughter it doesn't mean she will be hired automatically. Will there be a position where she can be a stylist instead of a designer, since you mentioned she's good at it, or maybe become an apprentice first instead of giving the position to her? Good job for showing integrity to your team. OP comment. She can be a stylist for a certain designer. But I made a rule that designers who get accepted get to hire their own staff of team, and most of the designers I got in already had stylists before and even models. She could definitely apply, but I can't force her on any designer. She's pretty good stylist too. As I said, designers already come in with their own team, so they already have a stylist that they are used to. My daughter, let's call her Sophie, used to be best friend with Kat. They used to be best friends in elementary school, but ever since middle school have started to grow apart. The schools split the kids in advanced and normal for math and science. All other classes are still together. My daughter got placed in the advanced and Kat got placed in normal. No big deal, they still see each other in school. They were still close friends until group projects. There have been multiple group projects and kids get to pick their partners. Kat and Sophie usually work together, and that is when issues start happening. Sophie would get really frustrated that the work Kat did wasn't correct. I told her to just turn it in without fixing it, and she got a bad grade on that assignment. After that, Sophie went through a period of time fixing stuff. After a while I told her to stop doing group projects with her. So they stopped doing projects together and the friendship blew up. So they are not friends anymore. It's Sophie's birthday and invites were sent out. Kat wasn't on the invite list my daughter made. I got a call from her mom asking why she wasn't invited. I informed her they aren't really friends anymore. She said invite her anyways since this is just a spat. I told her the people invited were people my daughter wanted at the event. This went for a while and came to why they weren't friends anymore, and I said it was due to both girls' intelligence levels and tried explaining the group project issue. She got P accusing me I am calling her kid dumb. Never said that. She called me a J. Edit. I did tell her they weren't firmed anymore. She kept asking why. That's the reason I brought up the issue of why they aren't friends anymore. I wasn't going to lie. Also, she should already know why that friendship blew up. The kids were arguing about it constantly for a while. Comment 1, YTA, and in such a way that I worry the universe might collapse around you. First, intelligence isn't really a thing the way you're thinking of it. Look up Gardner's intelligences and consider these. Is your daughter truly as advanced across all domains? Evidently not in the social one. Second, consider what you are teaching your daughter. She's allowed to be rude to and angry at people who score lower than her? Is that something that applies to anyone? Because it will be interesting when someone excludes her for not being as advanced as they are, and she internalizes it as being her fault because that's what you've taught her. There was a real opportunity to teach her to respond with compassion and humility, which would have given her such valuable characteristics and lessons about how to relate to other people in school and the workplace. Instead, she will really struggle if she repeats this. Go look up process approach to learning and ask yourself if you're setting her up to learn or to stop learning as soon as she feels she is better than someone else. Comment 2. YTA. You are likely smart enough to know that while you didn't call her dumb, you said everything but. Why did you say that, I wonder? You could have just said the friends fell out over school projects. Be wary of raising a child to believe she's intellectually superior to other kids. Kids like that often fall flat in their 20s when grades are not important anymore. Kat might be thriving by then with a friend group who recognizes her best qualities. And consider there are lots of reasons why kids can be difficult group project members. It could even be your daughter was hypercritical and Kat stopped trying. There also are many different types of intelligence. Kat could be smart in ways you don't understand or value, so maybe stop acting like an expert?